Hey, it is your buddy, Peace and Harmony with you here today. Much love going out to all the beautiful empowered harmonizers. And we're zooming in and focusing in on a great viewer question. And that is, why is it so difficult to resist the hover? In other words, if you parlay that into why is it so important to resist the hover attempts, or the feeling that you want to regress, the feeling that you want to backslide, you want to go back to a toxic relationship. You want to just really follow through on those ruminations. You want to sort of see if you are strong enough to handle this person now. And in fact, the relapse, what I'll call like a narcissist relapse, or going back to those familiar but self-sabotaging or destructive habits or relationships, oftentimes come when you are feeling strong enough. You're feeling better. You're feeling perhaps nostalgic or sentimental, so you want to, quote unquote, go back. You want to say, well, you know what? Maybe things have changed. In the back of your mind, your subconscious is really feeling that deep inside, your truest of truths is that you still belong with this person. So I want to go in and zoom in and focus in on why it's so important to be strong when you feel that you want to regress, you want to go backwards, you want to relapse into toxic ways, toxic relationships, toxic lifestyle. But before we get started, I just want to give a super huge shout out to those of you who have recently donated to the channel. Thank you so much for your donations and your support. It's great to hear from you. I really appreciate you helping to keep the channel alive and your kind words, so thank you so much. And absolutely positively, if the channel has been a positive resource, please do feel free to interact and participate here at the PayPal Donate Now button. It would be wonderful to hear from you, and I figured out a way, per viewer request, to include it like right here in the video top. So thank you so much. Happy holidays to you. So we're zooming in and focusing in really a little bit more in depth on why it's so important to be strong when you feel that you want to backtrack, backpedal, fall back, take it easy, and just enjoy the quote-unquote bliss or the reparations, or perhaps the closure, making amends, or perhaps a new start with a toxic relationship, a toxic individual, someone who you have exposed, someone who you know is not really good for you. In fact, they're really not really good for a lot of people, including you. But however, you feel that you just want to go back. You just want to kind of slip back into that comfortable, familiar relationship. You want to see how they're doing. You want to share with them some news, what's going on with you. You know, you want to do the old catch up, the old, let's just meet, let's just talk, let's just explain, you know, and then, you know, let's just catch up on a few pictures, texts, a few quips. You want to go back. Or the hover might be there. You know, this person all of a sudden texts you during the holidays. Holidays, birthdays, anniversaries, you know, it'll never fail. I mean, it can be 5 years, 10 years later, and then here comes the text. Here comes the email. Here comes the invite. Here comes the notice, whatever it is, the news feed on Facebook, or wherever it is you tend to consume interactions from this individual. They will hover you back, especially if there is something that, you know, you had done a lot. You know, perhaps this was your romantic partner, your spouse. Perhaps you shared, you know, children with this individual, and you had exposed them, or you got sick and tired of their pathological manipulative ways. You couldn't take it anymore, so you took a break, and you're wondering if, you know, you should like go back. And it can be very, very difficult to resist the temptation. It's important to understand that it's so difficult because part of your subconscious programming is believing to be true that you are in some way meant to be with this person. Some way, you know, there's a truth deep inside that lurks. It would be better off for you to have this person in your life. So that is part of what we call your subconscious programming. That is the system, the belief system that you are running on. That even though you might make conscious efforts to say, nope, this is not good for me. This person did ABC, XYZ. I know better now. You know, they've proven it time and time again. I'm never going to go back. And then never becomes should. And then should becomes, well, maybe. And then maybe comes what if. And then what if comes caving in either late at night or whenever it is that your guard is down, or you're at a party and you want to send a pic, or you want to get back, or there's something, you know, where they might ask that old familiar question. Hey, you know, how is everything going? How's your health? Hey, did you ever get married? Did you ever get divorced? You know, you'll get these interactions and you'll feel like you're being seduced or sucked back or hovered back in. You can say, you know, you can exchange hover for Hoover, like the old vacuum. So it's kind of like getting rid, you know, of that vacuum, you know, vacuous urge to kind of slide back. But, you know, remember that it is regression, and it is like the old backsliding, like literally, you know, you're sliding back, you're wanting to go back. And for a lot of people, growth can be very tiresome. It can be very wearisome. It can take a lot of effort. It can take a lot of strength, but your strength will serve you. It's very important for you to understand that, you know, for every 2 steps forward, you don't always want to go back, but you do want to rest. You do need to understand that part of your programming, which is your subconscious mind, is very important. That's where you really have to enact the change. You really need to get very clear and very passionate about your amends to yourself and your commitment. Your commitments will, you know, keep you through and carry you through your, you know, your temptation moments where you have this sort of craving. If you've been sort of in an addicted relationship where this person has been bigger than life for you, they've been super important, super gorgeous, super smart, super funny, whatever it is the super is for this person, where you were super infatuated, super trauma bonded, and then breaking free, you know, you're wanting, for a lot of people, you know, once they sort of get along this path, deep inside their mind, they believe that they cannot maintain. So it's in that maintenance period where it's so important for you to resist, for you to really sort of get some truth back and light a candle, do something significant that sort of anchors you into understanding it is not good for you to go back. It's not going to get you what you think you're going to get. You think you're going to get kisses, hugs, feeling better, a relationship, change, a chance to prove it again, a change to look better, a change for them, you know, opportunity for them to look better, opportunity for, it is not that denial loop that you are playing. It is, the relationship is not what you think it is. Remember, the narcissist, the psychopath, they are adept at telling you the pretty little lies. They are adept at charming you like a snake charmer, like a puppeteer, moving you into action, you know, taking over your helm, you know, helping, you know, causing you to lose control. And we all need to let go once in a while. We all need to cut loose. We all need to kind of lose it every now and again. In other words, just let it go. Let go of your inhibitions. But realize that there should be other ways for you to do this. And then the further along the path you get, you'll get perspective and you go, you know what? That really was not all this. It really was not all that. You know, they had me over the top. They had me in a dangerous spot. So you need to kind of equate it and anchor it and have leverage over yourself that is understanding that it was not that positive. Otherwise, you would not have had to go no contact. Otherwise, you would not have had lesson learned. You know, otherwise you would still be with them. Or if you're trying to part ways and you're trying to get leverage over yourself, you need to get leverage. You need to get control. You need to say, I understand that this person is having a deleterious or negative, damaging, lethal effect on me. And I am going to resist. Every little inkling, I'm going to use it as an opportunity to be strong. There's an image of them. Take your head and push it away. Do not become mesmerized, engulfed, basking, ruminating, brooding. All these are different words for explaining the very refined emotions that can be caught up in the hover. So it's very important to understand that there's a lot of very fine lines or striations. If you look at it in my viewpoint, like you'd see striations on like a lake, where you see it go from light blue to turquoise to darker blue to deep black, you know, the midnight blues. There's a lot of striations, there's a lot of layers to the hover, and you need to do the work at all the layers of that striation. You know, like when you're looking out over the lake and you feel this sort of, you know, the eye is looking, you know, beyond, you know, what is right in front of you. In other words, your eye is looking way off into the distance, or like when you look off way up high in the sky at like the moon, you know, you've got that sort of open sort of mindset. And it's very important that you need to get into that new open mindset and anchor yourself to the truth, how important it is for you to not be with them, and get into that very open, sort of mesmerized mindset on how important it is to let that relationship go and embrace it with all your might, and not equate, you know, the narcissist or the psychopath would be proud of me now. You know, oftentimes a lot of the subconscious ruminations or self-talk, which are in the quiet of the mind, the quiet of the heart, which is really what's driving you on a day-to-day basis. Oftentimes people use that relationship as a catapult moving forward. You know, in other words, they've learned so much that they need to check in and come into themselves, that they really kind of want to like maybe even go back and thank this person. Thank you for helping me get to where I am now. You know, there's all this sort of wanting to give credit to them. Narcissists apply to them. You know, you need to draw that in and rehabituate and reprogram yourself to it being within yourself. So that's why it's so important for you to understand the multiple layers that come with healing, and how important it is, you know, for you to, you know, get that distance and get that strength in all those different sort of fibers of your being, or fibers of your emotional sort of depth or richness, and to understand it is not all that. You know, keep in mind, you know, it's because also, you know, a lot of people don't want to remember only the bad times. A lot of our memory in our subconscious is in recalling of the positive. So even while you're driving, like you might think of this positive date or this vacation, and it's very pleasurable. So you get this sort of pleasure dopamine reaction, you know, when you're thinking about them. And that is all fine and good, you know, and then, you know, don't feel guilty for having positive reflections, you know, and sort of basking in that warmth or that light. However, it's very important for you to then open up and then be non-critical of yourself in your independence, because oftentimes these toxic relationships, there was, you know, a dependence or an enmeshment or an unhealthy element there that was causing you to suffer undue amounts of grief and waste time, and, you know, getting into situations that you now regret, you know, and then you're kind of wanting to test the waters. Oftentimes these opportunities will also present themselves when you're actually getting healed or close to healing. And if your subconscious mind, your programming, which is your truth, if you're programming, if some within, you know, within the course of your relationship or your upbringing, your truth was, I can never make it without this person. Maybe you spoke these words to them or to yourself, and this was then solidified. Yeah, baby, you know, we're in it for this. You know, I'm family, I'm this, you know, and so you had this sort of like forever love into your belief system. It's very important to understand that your belief system interacts with your subconscious. So that is what we call your programming. You are programmed according to what you have received as truth. So if you have a negative self-belief as part of your truth, you need to get with a shovel and get that old belief out, like a turnip that's deep within the ground, like a carrot that you have to yank up, or, you know, a root you have to unearth and like get it out and like throw it aside. You know, they call it like weeding your garden, you know, because it will strangle all the other positive beliefs that are trying to like take root and trying to help you. And oftentimes that negative root is so strong and it strangled so many other beliefs about yourself, experiences and relationships and opportunities that they don't even look like opportunities. You don't even define them as such. And then those beliefs, those new self-beliefs are very difficult to plant because perhaps that toxicity has made toxic a lot of the foundation, or difficult to replant, in the fertileness of your mind, because they sort of have stretched out their roots in a lot of directions. So it's very fascinating and very interesting to understand how this plays in your life, and then your feelings, your decisions, and your choices and your commitments, particularly that on the subconscious level, which is where we need to do the healing. It's so important. So if you say, it's so difficult to implement, or it's so hard to stop, or it's so difficult to change, I can't imagine a life without them, it's because you're still living on that negative programming. You're still flipping to the narcissist channel where you're playing through them in the mind, their parties, their gifts, the feelings, the interactions, the experiences. You're still tuning into the Narcissist Now channel. You're basically like flipping it on as oftentimes a form of escape, a form of denial, a form of proving to yourself, that's why I can't move on in my life, because this is playing all the time. Realize that the subconscious mind is very influenced by images. There are all sorts of images that we form beliefs on, and then decisions, choices, lifestyles, and identity, moods, and temperament, including your very character. So if you find how your character is developing, oftentimes, interestingly enough, as you move forward in your life, you'll see that your character has developed along the lines of things that were inspiring or fundamental or sort of very significant or meaningful to you. So you might, have very, memories of this one day when, or this one birthday when, or etc. So it's very important for you to understand the role of these memories and why they're sort of presenting themselves as significant and fundamental and cherished. And also to realize that these were also the moments that your programming took place. So your programming, especially when you're very young, is at the hands of your caregivers, your parents. Your truth is often created between the ages of 0 and 5, if not 0 and 8. So if in those, formative years, if your truth was established then and defined by the negative, the I am not, it's very important for you to understand the impact and influences this has on your life to the present day. And you might be in your 30s or 40s, 50s or 60s or 70s, and you go, wow, this was formed like this many years ago, whoa. It's like, have that little aha moment. Allow yourself to understand the correlation or connection between your present life in where you are right now and how that programming was set up, your truth. I can never make it without, and then also like a lot of your memories will have defining moments, i.e. like your inspiration, things that you admired. I really admired this farmer, or I really admired this businessman, or I really admired this musician. So it's very important for you to also, when you're doing this healing work, to take stock of those mentors or inspirations that you have experienced along your journey, whether it was, straight up, straight down, straight across, up and down, whatever your journey, and the happiness and success and really truly where you find yourself. And then understand that it's very important for you to embrace those positive inspiration moments and then really take charge of your programming and get it along the lines of that positive. I call it positive early direction thinking, or pod thinking, behaving, and really your identity, what we call a positive I am. And then understand then how important it is for you to water, nurture, tend to, and really strengthen and be happy in those roots. And then look at also the roots or experiences in your garden, i.e. your emotion, your identity, your character, your self-concept, your identity, that were founded by the seeds or the negative beliefs or negative roots of I am not worthy, I can't do it alone, I'm not good enough, I am not lovable, I am, and then that then leads to the I am isolated, I am lonely, I can't handle this, I am fearful, I have anxiety, I have depression, So then you begin like holding on to the negative, and then you then begin to have like the I'm nots or negative orderly direction thinking. And then you begin to have, when you think about what you really have or hold on to, oftentimes people then hold on to this loneliness. I have loneliness. I have, and then you begin to embrace, the negative validation, which oftentimes leads to the anorexia, the bulimia, the chronic debt, the chronic addictions that end you nowhere fast, face up in a gutter, homeless, with the wrong crowd, with health problems, and it's to say that, that is fueled and sourced by the negative programming. In other words, part of me had believed the truth, the I cannot, I am not, I have, I have negativity. So when you look and take stock of the have and have nots, a lot of people then define and get payoff, emotional payoff from this negative self-belief. How can this be peace and harmony? We're supposed to, be making decisions according to what's good for us. Well, there's a lot of payoff in depression. There's a lot of payoff in anger. There's a lot of payoff in losing your cool. There's a lot of payoff in being in massive debt. There's a lot of payoff in being addicted. It's to not to have to take responsibility. It's to not have to take accountability. It's the martyrdom. Look how thin I am. Look how sick I am. Come and give me attention now. It's a way to get negative attention, or, take attention off of the positive. In other words, I get sick when, and then all of a sudden, you're getting attention and support and taking it away from somebody else, but it's negative. It's like an emergency. It's like this person who has like the accident, the accident when, there's something significant going on, like, look who got a car accident, look who got sick, they're getting attention, they're taking it off because they are so starving for attention. And so if you have not done this thinking through, sorting out, then you will find that these hover attempts begin to look attractive. They begin to look, well, maybe, they begin to tempt you. You begin to wander. You begin to get lost in. And sometimes it's very pleasant to get lost. Get lost in a movie. Escape in a bubble bath. Escape in a hobby. Find another way to indulge yourself. Re-sensitize yourself. Light 10 candles and sit in a dark room and look how gorgeous it is. Or create a beautiful flower arrangement. Or book a fabulous vacation, or go to an amazing play, or, go and get yourself a new outfit, or, go and listen to some fabulous music, go into a mindfulness meditation, go into a visualization exercise, begin to indulge your senses and enrich yourself in other ways, and you'll find it much more gratifying. It's kind of like going from junk food addiction to a healthy lifestyle. People are so addicted to what is not good for them, the junk thoughts, the junk TV, the junk, the fast food addiction. People find that they are, very addicted. They get very sick. They get very overweight. It's very difficult for them to change, is because they've reinforced that negative belief so many times. Well, this is convenient, So they continue to go back, and then before you know it, it's very, very difficult to resist. So no matter where you are, drive by that Burger King, drive by that McDonald's, drive by that narcissist hover attempt, you know, don't go back there, you know. And then you need to get a negative image, you know, it don't look so good for me to be going back, you know, me eating the cheeseburger, me eating the, you know, pound of butter or whatever it is that your temptation was, the kind of, you know, getting way drunk, getting way angry. You know, all these have a payoff. You know, look, you know, there's a real fuel to getting super angry and losing your, look how juiced up I am, you know, look how right I am. You know, there's a lot of payoff to the negativity. You know, drinking, losing one's inhibitions, you know, being risky. You know, if you were engaged in a lot of risk-taking behaviors with this individual, they had driven you to that, you know, driving intoxicated, you know, these can land you to some very costly mistakes. You don't want to end up with your license taken out, you know, in jail, in the courtroom, in a divorce, in a spat, you know, with a restraining order. You don't want to get involved in all this. It just ain't where you want to be. It ain't the good life, okay? There is no pride in poverty. There is no pride in being a victim. There is no pride in feeling empty, regretful. You know, I should have known this by now. You know, all this sort of the bottoming out again, you know. So resist the bottoming out. Resist, you know, the rock bottom again. If you don't have leverage over yourself, say, wow, I need to get better leverage over myself. This is like a real wake-up call. I need to get better leverage of myself. Flip back in the boat. You know, you find you're wanting to jump overboard. You know, maybe not a good idea. Begin to have these discussions with yourself. If you don't have it, you know, there was a great statement in a John Cougar Mellencamp song and probably a lot of other songs. If you don't stand for something, you're going to fall for some, you know, everything. Or, you know what I'm saying? Begin to really get, you know, understand that these temptations should really then develop the self-talk. Whoa, I better get some more leverage over myself. I really better get a better grip. I really better get a better handle on some things because I'm finding that I'm going back. And then immediately, right then and there, make a positive decision. Make a commitment to yourself. Give yourself what you need. The narcissist, the psychopath, cannot give it. Don't delude yourself. Don't deceive yourself. Don't live in denial. Go away from all that criticism or whatever. Remember, yep, that's why that's why we're no longer together. That's why I expose them. That's why, oh, that's right. And then go and then begin to satisfy those urges, those needs with something positive. Go and take a recovery date. Go to a fabulous museum, a movie. Begin to look around at the couples, the people who have what you want, and be able to just gaze at them for a moment and then begin to get re-inspired that you want to, you know, attract someone who can really give you the real thing and give you the right feelings. Begin to watch that and then begin to sort of meditate on that and then re-anchor your truth and your programming that I am worthy of that. I deserve. I will. I am. And then begin to really get fueled up and inspired and energized by that. And then answer to yourself. You don't need to answer to the narcissist. You don't need to answer to the psychopath. You're not going to get closure there. They're not going to admit that they were wrong. You know, they're not going to make it easier on you. You know, whatever it is that you're deluding yourself, well, maybe it would be just easier for me if. Don't backslide. Don't fool yourself. Go for the gusto. Go for the good life. Go for who you are meant to be. Even if it's painful, even if you have deliberate force or, you know, really encourage and support yourself, get used to being and championing yourself in the direction of what it is you truly want and go get it. And then begin to prove to yourself, yep, I did it. Yep, that was the right thing to do. Give yourself the pat on the back. Reward yourself like we talk about the recovery gift. Give yourself a little something special that's meaningful and will remind you every time you walk by it. That's right. I made the right decision. Amen. This is your buddy, Peace and Harmony, with you here today. And I hope that these videos do help. Please share and please subscribe for more great tools videos, discussion, and support. Peace out. Love you.